Well, good morning, everybody. This is Gold Harbour Radio, ZMH286, Patricia and David, sounding very cheerful because we have an absolutely glorious day here today, and there's no radar on the frequency, so we're back on our usual 8752, which is good, so we don't get you lost. And I'm just trying to work out why my streaming thing says we're still offline. I'm not sure about why that would be. Hopefully someone will tell us we are streaming because it all looks pretty good on one computer but not another. Boy, this stuff is complicated. Anyway, it's a glorious morning, as mentioned, 19 degrees, 3 knots at the most from the east, sort of southeast, northeast. It's sort of variable. 1027.3 and steady on the bar. 5% cloud cover, although there's a bit more. Maybe I'll call that 10% cloud cover. But nothing much. It's really lovely to have a beautiful day, particularly when we look at the satellite picture, and it does not look a beautiful day in Tonga. It looks pretty good in Newcastle and Vanuatu, and maybe the western side of Fiji will improve, but maybe not. We'll have to wait and listen to what David has to say shortly. All right, let's have a look here. I'm just going to work out why we are not streaming. Just stand by one. Don't know why that machine says it's working perfectly. This one here doesn't say it's working perfectly, so God knows. Well, it says we're live now, so that's good. All I did was refresh one screen. All right, well, we have good news. There's a couple of boats have arrived that we know of. Pilgrim and Seeker have arrived in the lovely Bay of Islands. It will be lovely up there. Sun is shining, according to Pilgrim. 30% of scattered cloud, and they have 16 knots of southeast up there. So it's a bit more wind than down here, and a bar of 1022. So the high is closer to us for sure. We have boats waiting to go, of course. We know that Rausa and Eagle's Wings are in Newcastle waiting to get to New Zealand, as is a group in Fiji. They are some wanting to go north, some south, and David will talk about those possibilities shortly. We'll get him started right on the hour because conditions do change a little bit. Meanwhile, I will do a bit of news, such as it is at the moment. It is the 15th of November, Thursday, so we're in the middle of the month. Yesterday it was announced, and most of this news is actually for New Zealanders today. That's a bit unusual. Pike River, that's the big accident. Well, assuming it was an accident, at the Pike River mine 8 years ago where 29 people were killed. The government, who said that they would go in, are in fact going in to the tune of $36 million. To go in and remove the bodies and see if they can determine what caused the problem. So that's a rather expensive promise, but that's what they're going to do. Melania Trump, let's go to the United States because I got a chuckle at this. She's getting to be a bit like her husband, and she's called for the dismissal of a senior national security advisor that has been working with her. Particularly on the trip to Africa. Evidently this dispute started over a seating arrangement in the Air Force One trip to Africa. Boy, some of these things are so important. I'm not quite sure what that has to do with the security of the United States, but there you are. Some things to some people are very important. And there you have it.
Maybe she had bad gas.
Yes, you might have had bad odour or bad gas or whatever. Yes, so that's the problem there. Mr. Trump is still in firing mode, actually. The rumours are running now that he's about to fire his chief of staff, John Kelly. How many chiefs of staff has he had? He must be about number 3 by now. Anyway, they don't last long in the White House. I hope they pay them an awful lot because the longevity of the positions with Mr. Trump is not very good. Anyway, I suppose it looks good on your CV that you have worked in the White House for the president. Canada, talking about Americans, has registered a 6-fold increase in the number of US citizens seeking asylum. This was last year, 2017. Evidently, people are worried about being deported by the Trump administration. Not sure that Canada would really want those sorts of people, but anyway,
No.
they've had a six-fold increase in the numbers seeking asylum. It doesn't say that they are giving them asylum. All right, now this is for the ladies out there. Profits are way down at Victoria's Secret, as evidently the lingerie brand is not coping well with the changing tastes of cleavage. Vogue magazine evidently shows a more natural décolletage, so push-up bras and the like are now out of vogue. So there you have it. We're back in fashion. So those folk that are used to not wearing anything at all out there in the tropics, you'll be right back in the swing of things and you won't have to worry about these sculpturing bras. A surprising statistic from the USA, this is not something I would normally cover, but they have all sorts of statistics in the United States, absolutely everything. It's just delightful to look at how they can make facts out of numbers over there. But hate crimes were up in 2017 compared to 2016. 17% up, so it is in fact significant. 7,106 crimes, deaths actually, relating to a single bias hate crime. But one of the statistics was quite interesting and a surprise actually. There were 1,679 religious hate crimes, and 58% of those were anti-Jewish and only 18.6% were anti-Muslim. But you didn't think that would be the case. All right, on to less serious topics here in New Zealand. Health and safety have come down on the sausage sizzle. Now, those New Zealanders will know that outside places like Bunnings, there's always a sausage sizzle for people wanting to raise funds, particularly in the weekends. And Bunnings has decreed that fried onions have to go underneath the sausage, not on the top.
What?
Well, evidently, you put them on the top, they slip off, and people can slip on them.
Oh my God.
So there you have it. Well, the warehouse has come out and said that they are not going to follow suit because people eat their sausage sizzles. They don't drop them on the ground, and the only thing that you would see if you looked down were their low prices. So there you have it. If you want your onions on the top or on the bottom, you can say so, but if you go to Bunnings, they'll definitely be on the bottom. Evidently, this has brought out quite a lot of discussion, and Simon Galt, who's one of our head chefs here, he decided that if you just chop them up a little shorter, then they wouldn't slip off quite so much. But anyway,
they actually pay people.
They pay people to come up with these things, yes. All right. The helicopter crash that we talked about a week or two ago, it looks like it may have been caused by a loose item of clothing, actually a pair of overalls, coming out of the helicopter and getting wrapped around the tail rotor. They did have the doors off, of course, because they were going out on the tar hunt. But boy, that's a real bad thing. It was too low for the pilot to do anything about it. And down she went and killed 3 people.
See, bad karma.
Yes.
You shouldn't be shooting
No,
cars.
You shouldn't be shooting cars. All right, the APEC conference. I had to chuckle at this one. There's the APEC conference is in Papua New Guinea, and so there's heads of state from all sorts of big places: USA, China, New Zealand, and so on and so forth. But it is in the poorest member of APEC. But they decided to bring in 40 luxury Maseratis to move people around. I had to chuckle at that one. Boy, you do wonder at the people that are organising these sorts of events. 40 Maseratis. They say they're going to sell them at the end, and that will help pay for them. Help us, right? But presumably various people in Papua New Guinea, and there's not an awful lot of roads in Papua New Guinea that you could take the benefit of a Maserati. But anyway, I'm sure they're going to go to worthy, in inverted commas, causes. All right, that's about what I've got here, and it's now on the hour, and I am going to pass the microphone because David has been tearing his hair out for an hour or two, trying to work out how you malingerers up there can get moving, looking at what's ahead. So I'm going to listen with interest as well. Here's David.
Well, I think you should practice your Christmas jingles.
Really?
Well, maybe not that bad. All right, good morning, everybody, and we're going to get right into the synoptic charts. Now, our split high over New Zealand, we've been talking about this for a few days, now has one center, and it happens to be just east of Napier. It's quite strong, with a central pressure of 1030 millibar. Now, the high is large in area as well, so it's ridging both east and west. Now, our dissipating subtropical low, that's the one that we've been talking about for almost a week now. If you have a chart, it's near 29 south and 158 west. That's more or less the middle of it. And it has a quasi-stationary front that arcs down to the south of it. But then it's got two troughs, and this is important. It's got two troughs, major troughs, that head north. Now, one runs up to about 25 south, and then it hangs a left and just about reaches New Cal, but not quite. The second trough goes north as well and gets to about 20 and 168 west. Then it too hangs a left, and it covers Tonga, and then it goes on to Fiji. Now, Tropical Depression 02F last night, in fact early this morning, was off to the northeast of Vanuatu. Now, a couple of things here. It may slide down this trough that we have been talking about to Fiji, or it may not. It may actually dissipate. But certainly by tomorrow, around the lunchtime period, I would say, the depression is going to definitely start dissipating. But its energy, this is interesting, its energy perks up the old subtropical depression we just talked about. And now it starts to wrap up again. And that'll wind up being near 30 and 158 west. Now by Saturday, it drops south a little bit more to about 32 and 158 west. So almost due south it goes, 120 miles. Now in the meantime, on Saturday, our high east of New Zealand, our singular center high now, gets a little bit of a puncture. And the central pressure starts to drop to about 1022 millibar. So it drops about 8 millibar over 24 hours. Then it ridges toward the islands. And what happens then, the isobars become fairly well spread. So we'll see a rather weakened gradient at that point. And also at that point, the winds will diminish, obviously, since we don't have much of a gradient. Now, that's then, but before that, we do have wind. So those approaching New Zealand should see easterlies today. Variable winds Friday through Saturday, really hardly any wind at all to the north, getting into New Zealand. And then come northerlies on Sunday, fairly light as well. I'd say maybe about 10 knots is the forecast. So it will be a very slow, easy landfall for the few of you that are coming in at that time. However, those that are still out there a ways and are about 27 south and south of there are not going to be happy with east-southeast winds, 25 to 30 knots. And in this, there's plenty of cloud and squalls looking at satellite imagery. And I would expect gusts getting up to 35 knots as well. Friday, much the same, I'm afraid. Now, Saturday, we do get an ease. I would say east-southeast to southeast winds, 15 to 20. But most yachts ought to be in by the weekend, so probably won't matter much. That's ideal getting in by the weekend from what I can see, just taking a look here as we're looking at trough conditions arriving on Monday. So any push that you can give to get in this weekend would be the thing to do. Okay, let's go to Tonga quickly, where Tonga Met expects a low pressure system to affect the entire kingdom later today. So they have issued a strong wind warning plus a heavy rainfall warning and flash flow advisory for virtually all of Tonga, all three major areas. Winds are expected to be east to southeast, 15 to 20, rising to 25, 30 this afternoon and tonight. And obviously expect rough seas, and there is a moderate southeast swell coming in. And needless to say, you'll have poor visibility and heavy rain. Now, this morning, Baval reports east-southeast 10, cloudy, barometer 10-10. The Hapai's easterly 12, overcast there, barometer also 10-10. And down there in Tongatapu, northeast 5, overcast. There are quite a few towering cumulus in and about Tongatapu, and that is the encouraging cloud for thunderstorms. So be quite careful if you're there. Not that there's anything you can do about it, but be aware. And the barometer also 10-10, so not much of a gradient. Now moving over to Fiji now, Fiji Met warns of the active trough that we just talked about. It's lying over the country, and of course associated cloud and rain. And thus they have issued a strong wind warning for southeast to northerly winds, 20 to 25 knots, and to expect heavy rain and thunderstorms. This is going to continue tomorrow, Friday. Now, I looked at radar this morning. There's very, very heavy rain northeast of Vanua, Levu, and Taveuni. It's moving pretty fast. So by the time that you're hearing this, it's probably already gone by, but there may be more coming. So didn't see much elsewhere. Looking towards Viti Levu and down towards Kundavu, I didn't see much of anything in the way of returns. Looking at Saturday and Sunday, the winds are mostly southerly quadrant for those that are wanting to leave. Heading to New Zealand, of course, that means headwinds. But for the dozen or so wanting to go to Funafuti or the Marshalls, well, you may have some decent winds to get moving. They'll be more or less behind you and quite light. Now, what's happening is the tropical disturbance has sucked so much energy that there is very little pressure gradient up there. So most of the winds are going to be quite light. And this is very common to have happen when we have a major depression like that. Just all the energy gets used up. Now, around 9 south, for those that are going north, the winds may then shift to easterlies in the 10 to 15 knot range. So Funafuti bound or Majuro bound, you can take a look at what's cooking there for the weekend or into Monday. Now, Vanuatu on imagery looks actually pretty good after the scare of TD02F. Scattered cloud is evident mostly in the north, as you'd expect. That's the closest to the tropical depression that you can get there. Southeast winds today, 15 to 20. A little bit later tomorrow, about 10 to 15, still out of the southeast. Newcastle looks pretty good too. Scattered cloud moving in from the south, but no trough bands whatsoever. Winds in the southern lagoon by lunch, southeast in the 15 knot range, I would say. Tomorrow picking up maybe to 15 to 20. Saturday, I think we're looking at southeast, and we'll be back to about 15 knots. So again, a little bit later for Saturday. Now this morning, Amity Light was southeast 11, Isle of Pines southeast at 6, and Nemea was northeast at 7. So that pretty much sums up what I am seeing for the general area. Now I told you I would take a look forward for a passage to New Zealand. Now this coming Saturday and Sunday, if you were thinking about leaving, particularly those of you that are in Fiji, and I think the bulk of you are in Fiji, there is a bunch in Newcastle that I know. But anyway, that is showing southerly quadrant winds, but quite light. And going into Monday and Tuesday, looking to the south, we see a depression leaving New Zealand with a new high that's coming into the Tasman. Now, this means headwinds for Newcastle, folks. I know that's disappointing. And really for any Fiji boats that wind up getting down to 25 south. Now, we may see cyclonic wind flow over Tonga as well, and a trough extending from that New Zealand low all the way up to Tonga. So not so nice there. Now, by Thursday of this coming week, we may find a high center south of Newcastle. So again, that keeps headwinds for the Newcastle yachts and the Fiji yachts as well. And by Friday, that's the 23rd, our high broadens quite a bit, and the center looks to be near 2.6 and 175 east. So fairly nice winds for Fiji yachts, but at that time we have a cold front that's entering the Tasman. Now the models differ a bit on this, but the front could be over New Zealand that following Saturday or Sunday, the 25th. And by Monday, the 26th, the main body of this depression looks to be over the South Island. So we're looking at westerly quadrant winds from 25 south to New Zealand. And they'll be 20 to 30 knots. GFS has it pretty nasty and messy on the 27th, is that Tuesday anyhow. Northwest winds from a high to the east are going to be clashing with westerlies from this depression, and that'll happen over the South Island. Frontal band extends from New Zealand to Hervey Bay, and that will bring a possible subtropical depression just to the south of Newcastle. Well, that doesn't look good at all, does it? Now, I hesitate to say this, but for the desperate folks, looking at Tuesday to leave Fiji and arrive by Thursday the 29th is a messy possibility. There's light headwinds, convective activity. There's a broken frontal band that you're going to have to go through all of this. It could be done if you don't mind burning fuel and getting bounced around a bit. I wouldn't call this a window. Maybe I'll call it a broken window. Frankly, unless you're daring, the rest of November just doesn't look attractive at all. There's breaks in there that are very tempting, but if you were to look at the passage in total, I don't see anything that's consistently good. So bear in mind, too, we're looking at over 300 hours. So what we are seeing and what I'm reporting to you is really only an educated guess. So we're just going to have to find a 6 to 9 day slot to make the break. We'll have a look again on Monday. And again, remember, there's always December. And many of the Kiwis, the local people here, they have a habit of really never going until December. They have the advantage that they don't have to worry about immigration, of course, whereas you do. But the later that you stay up there, then the longer you can stay in New Zealand. And December usually offers quite a few very good slots. The only issue are tropical cyclones, but they historically have occurred more towards the end of that month and into January. So who knows? That may be the time that a lot of you are going. I know the Newcastle boats are pretty disappointed. But anyhow, there are worse places to be stuck than New Caledonia, our favorite. And that's it. From what I can see, I wish I could give you better news. Again, you do have that sort of semi-grim opportunity for getting out of there this weekend. So look at your grids pretty carefully and make up your mind as to what you're willing to deal with and how badly you want to get here. There you go. So we'll, of course, make a quick glance again tomorrow. We're still on tomorrow. And then come Monday, take a further look because we'll have quite a few model runs that will have taken place by then. So that's it. Any questions, comments, whatever, come now. Here's Chief.
Woo, well, that was either depressing or not, depending on your point of view. At least the folk going north can have a clear out, I suppose. And those others, well, you'll just be ruining the day that you didn't come in the earlier opportunities. But again, at least the weather is getting warmer in New Cal for Wowser and Eagles Wings, and the water will be getting warmer too. Is there any questions, comments, or otherwise from anybody? It would be good to handle them now because we will be having quite a busy morning here this morning, going down to our boat, in fact. Good ship chameleons, do a few things. So if anyone wants anything, please come now. Nothing heard, alrighty, and it looks like quite a good day in Fiji. That system is moving to the east, which is good. Pity about you folk in Tonga, but the rest of you can all enjoy things. So good morning to Citrus Tart and Scoots on streaming here, and we will be back again tomorrow morning to see if there's any more positive news for anybody. Meanwhile, enjoy the day. Cheers, everybody. Gulf Harbour Radio is clear. Oh, hello, Chris. Trigger, go ahead.
Hello, good morning. We were off today, and that's what what's happening today. Yes, we're still looking at about Friday. Lots of mostly, but another good event for tomorrow. We would really appreciate it.
Roger that. We'll definitely be looking tomorrow, and yeah, that new boat of yours doesn't probably feel new anymore, but I think you've got good fuel, haven't you? So, all right, we'll definitely have another look at tomorrow. And I forgot to mention to folks that Four Seasons are sort of between, they're going down to Picton just for interest. They're sort of between, if you can extend Hamilton and New Plymouth, they're in there with that northerly of 8. So they're at least moving along a little bit. So that's about it from the news from people there. Cheers all.
So he just wanted to come here to New Zealand?
Yes, he goes to Whangarei.